Good morning, children. Today we will study about life history variations. What are life history variations, children? According to the Darwin, the reproductive fitness of an organism is able to produce healthy offsprings or healthy progeny. According to him, survival of fittest. What does survival of fittest means? The organisms in the natural habitat are able to survive. It is not the physical fitness. According to Darwin, it is the reproductive fitness. So according to him, these depends upon several factors. First are your lifespan. Some species humans have a long lifespan, while others like insects have a very short lifespan. Breeding, if you see breeding, some organisms breed only once in their life, like wheat, bamboo, Pacific salmon, and some species breed several times in their lifetime, like we mammals, birds, you'll see mango trees. Now offsprings, some organisms produce large number of offsprings, but the size is small. Some organisms produce number of offsprings is small, but their size is large, and so these population interact with each other. So they are different in their adaptation, in their habitat, but they interact with each other, and these interactions may be for requirement and mode of obtaining food, type and area of shelter, and habits of different populations. So that may be, and these interactions may be beneficial, may be harmful, or may be neutral. If suppose an interaction like predation means one will eat the other, so who will eat will benefit, who will be eaten will be harmed. Competition, in competition between two organisms, both will be harmed. If you will see mutualism, neither is harmed, both are benefited, so positive signs are given. So first we are going to study about predation. Now organism of higher trophic level feed on organism of lower trophic level, means it is an act of killing and eating. The organism which does the act of predation or kills is known as predator, and the organism which is being killed is known as the prey. So predation can be very easily illustrated by a simple food chain. If you see grass is eaten by goat, goat is eaten by tiger. So it's a simple food chain. In this, what will happen? One animal eats another and itself becomes prey for the another animal. So second, herbivores are not very different from predators. Why, children? Like herbivores also eat on plants, so like deer, antelopes, they are also feeding on others, so they are also known as predators. Predators act as a passage for transfer of energy across trophic level, because they help in transferring energy from one trophic level to another. They keep prey population under control, because if there will be no predator, the prey population will increase. Suppose in a grassland, if there are only herbivores, there are no carnivores, what will happen? The number of herbivores will increase. They will graze all the grasses, and after some time they will also starve for death. So predators keep the prey population under check. Now exotic species have no natural predator, hence they grow very rapidly. They have given an example of prickly pear cactus, or we also call it opuntia. This opuntia was introduced as a hedge plant in Australia in 1920s, and it became a very serious weed, spreading in millions of hectares, and they were able to control it only when its natural herbivore Cactoblastis was introduced. So sometimes some exotic species, because they do not have any predator, may increase in a very large number and may become a problem for that area. Next is predator also help in maintaining species diversity in a community by reducing the intensity of competition among competing prey species, and this is given by Piscator Starfield experiment. See, there is a starfish, its name is Piscator, and it is an important predator. So in a field experiment, this Piscator was eliminated, but it was found to cause elimination of 10 invertebrate species of prey. Why? Because these invertebrate species started competing among themselves, so all were lost. So predation keeps the prey population under control. This is given by Piscator's Starfield experiment. Now, what are the defenses developed in animals against predators? Now we will see some insects like frogs, and you will see the tiger also, stick insects. Most of the animals, lizards, they mix with the environment, so that is called camouflage, and so the predators are not able to detect them. And second adaptation is some of them secrete poisonous substances like monarch butterflies. See, this is these insects, their caterpillar eats on a poisonous weed, so they have a poisonous chemical in their body, and whenever any animal eats on them, they also die. So this is an adaptation by these prey. Now for the plants also, in plants, you know, plants cannot run away from herbivores, so they have evolved a number of morphological, behavioral and chemical defenses against herbivores. Now herbivores feeding on such plants may develop aversion of feeding, they are unable to digest it, they fall sick, they are unable to reproduce and even get killed. So first adaptation in thorns in acacia, cactus, these are morphological means of defense, because the browsing animals will not be able to eat them. Then many plants produce and store some chemicals which make herbivore often sick, and this example is Calotropis. In Calotropis, it produces a poisonous cardiac glycoside against herbivores. So these plants are found in large number in the forest area, but they are rarely browsed by cattle and goats or by other grazing animals. Now there are other chemicals like nicotine, caffeine, quinine, strychnine, opium, all are produced by plants actually as defenses, but now they are being extracted for commercial use also. So these are the adaptation of plants and animals to avoid predation. Now next example is of population interaction is competition. Children, what is competition? When interaction between closely related individuals or group for obtaining the same resource, maybe it is food or it may be shelter, and it is in very short supply. So it may be interspecific or intraspecific. Like competition generally occurs when closely related species compete for the same resources that are limited. Totally unrelated species could also compete for the same resources, that is interspecific competition. Like in American lakes, vegeting flamingos and vegetant fishes have their common food, the zooplanktons. Now in interspecific competition, what may happen, they may compete for the same resource, maybe water, maybe minerals, maybe light, and sometimes it may lead to the elimination of one of the two competing species also. Now, resources need not be limiting for competition to occur. There is an example. Abingdon tortoise in Galapagos Islands became extinct within a decade after goats were introduced on the island due to greater browsing ability. Goats were able to browse more, so these tortoises did not get sufficient amount of food and they were eventually eliminated from that area and they became extinct. Now next example is competitive release. Children, what is competitive release? A species whose distribution is restricted to a small geographical area because of the presence of a competitively superior species is found to expand its distributional range dramatically when the competing species is experimentally removed. It means a species may have a restricted distribution. They may be present in a very small area, and due to the presence of a competitively superior species, as soon as the superior species is removed from the area, the other species expands its distribution range and density. So the superior species is removed, the other species will be able to reproduce and increase in number. This is known as competitive release. One is removed, so others are able to increase in number. Now Gauge competitive exclusion principle. According to Gauge, children, if two species are competing for the same resource, the superior one will survive and eventually the inferior one will be eliminated from that area. He has given an example. He inoculated two species of Paramecium, Paramecium aurelia and Paramecium caudatum, in the same culture. After some time, Paramecium aurelia completely eliminated Paramecium caudatum. So the phenomenon of one species occupying a specific niche in the habitat, excluding other species from the same, is known as Gauge's principle or principle of competitive exclusion. This is a question which many times comes in the exam also. So in this, if two competing species, the superior one will survive and the inferior one will be ultimately eliminated. Now next is Connell's elegant field experiment. Connell's elegant field experiment was in competition release. What is competition release? When two species are competing for the same resource in a very restricted geographical area, what will happen? If the superior one is removed, the inferior one will increase in number. So they have given an example. On the rocky sea coast of Scotland, superior barnacle Balanus dominates the intertidal area and excludes the smaller barnacle Chathamalus from that zone. See Connell's field experiment with barnacles on the rocky sea coast of Scotland. So competitively superior Balanus dominates the intertidal area, nearly excluding the smaller barnacle Chathamalus. When Balanus is removed or reduced in number, the smaller barnacle begins to flourish. In general, competition affects herbivores and plants more adversely as compared to carnivores. So in this, Connell's experiment is the experiment of competition release. The superior one is removed, the other one will be able to flourish. This is Connell's elegant field experiment. So today we will do these two and try to understand them properly and read from your book also, underline the main points. Thank you.